A single piece of advice has the power to completely change the way a husband and wife understand one another. Many couples search for complicated answers to fix their problems, but the truth is, the most effective guidance is often simple and deeply rooted in the teachings of our faith. This advice is not just about ending arguments or keeping the peace for a short while. It's about creating a love that grows stronger with time, mercy that fills the home, and a bond that becomes a source of comfort in this world and a means to enter Jannah together. Today, I want to share with you that one priceless tip, a reminder that could transform your marriage and bring barakah into every moment you share. Many couples believe that the main reasons for marital problems are big arguments or betrayal. In reality, most marriages begin to struggle long before any major conflict appears. The damage often starts quietly, in small moments, unspoken words, ignored feelings, and neglected acts of kindness. Over time, these tiny cracks grow until the relationship feels heavy and distant, without either partner fully understanding why. One of the most overlooked causes of marital struggle is neglecting the heart of the relationship. Life gets busy, responsibilities pile up, and the focus shifts entirely to tasks and survival. Couples stop talking about dreams, feelings, and spiritual growth. They may live in the same home but lead separate emotional lives. Without realizing it, they lose the deep connection they once had. We often think that love alone will keep a marriage strong. But love without effort is like a plant without water. It may survive for a while, but eventually it withers. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught through his actions that love must be nurtured daily with mercy, respect, and patience. Without these ingredients, even the strongest love will fade over time. Another silent killer of marriages is poor communication. Not just the words we say, but the way we say them, or the silence we keep when words are needed. Hurt feelings are left unspoken. Assumptions take the place of understanding, and couples begin to build walls instead of bridges. These walls grow so slowly that many don't notice until they're too high to see over. Small acts of kindness are often underestimated, yet their absence leaves a deep void. A smile, a gentle word, a simple thank you, these cost nothing but carry immense weight. When such gestures disappear, a marriage begins to feel cold, and in that coldness, misunderstandings thrive, creating problems that didn't need to exist in the first place. One of the biggest mistakes couples make is expecting their spouse to fulfill every emotional and spiritual need without involving Allah in the relationship. A marriage without regular dua, without asking Allah to bless and protect the bond, is like a home built without a strong foundation. It may stand for a time, but it's vulnerable to every storm that passes. Unrealistic expectations also quietly harm marriages. When one spouse expects perfection from the other, disappointment is inevitable. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us to focus on the good in our partners, because no one is flawless. When couples forget this, they start keeping score of faults instead of appreciating strengths, and this slowly drains love from the relationship. Modern life has made distraction a normal state. Phones, work, and endless entertainment often take priority over meaningful moments together. Couples spend hours in the same room but are miles apart in attention. Without realizing it, they give their best energy to the outside world and only the leftovers to each other. Over time, this weakens the bond. Some marriages struggle because respect has been replaced by casual criticism. Jokes that belittle, words that sting, and comparisons to others may seem small, but they chip away at dignity and trust. Respect is not a one-time gift. It must be given daily, in private and in public. When it disappears, love soon follows. A common mistake is thinking that conflict itself is the problem. In reality, healthy conflict can strengthen a marriage if handled with patience and mercy. The real danger is unresolved conflict arguments that are never addressed properly. These unresolved issues settle like dust over the relationship, clouding everything until even the good moments feel heavy. Some couples forget that marriage is an act of worship. Every smile, every shared meal, every act of patience is a chance to earn reward. But when marriage is seen only as a worldly arrangement, it loses its spiritual depth. Without that awareness, struggles feel harder and sacrifices feel heavier because they are not connected to a higher purpose. Pride can also be a hidden enemy. When neither spouse is willing to apologize first, or when saying I'm sorry feels like defeat, the relationship suffers. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught humility in every interaction. In marriage, humility is the soil in which love and mercy grow. Without it, resentment takes root instead. Some marriages weaken because the couple stops learning about each other. People change over time, in preferences, in struggles, in spiritual needs. When spouses stop asking questions and listening deeply, they lose touch with who the other person has become. This creates emotional distance that can go unnoticed for years. Another quiet struggle comes when couples stop making time for shared joy. Life is not meant to be only about bills, chores, and responsibilities. Laughter, shared hobbies, and simple outings are not luxuries, they are investments in the relationship. Without them, the marriage becomes purely functional, lacking the warmth that keeps hearts close. Most marriages don't collapse overnight. They fade quietly when couples stop nurturing them. The good news is, what's neglected can be revived by returning to mercy, respect, kindness, and a shared connection with Allah. Even struggling marriages can heal, but it starts with awareness and the willingness to fix what we may not have even realized was broken. When couples think about what keeps love alive, they often mention romance, gifts, or shared experiences. While these things are valuable, the deepest and most lasting form of love has a different foundation. It's built on something that doesn't fade with age, doesn't get tired with routine, and doesn't break under pressure. That hidden root is mercy, the kind of mercy Allah describes as a sign between spouses. Mercy in marriage is more than just kindness in good times. It's the decision to care for each other's hearts even when you're tired, frustrated, or hurt. It's choosing to protect your spouse's dignity in public and in private. Without mercy, love becomes fragile, easily shaken by small disagreements. With mercy, love becomes resilient, able to survive life's storms. The Prophet, peace be upon him, showed that mercy was at the heart of his relationships. He expressed love through gentle words, acts of service, and a willingness to listen. He didn't need grand displays to prove his affection. His consistency spoke louder than any gift could. This is the kind of mercy that builds lasting bonds. Mercy is also about forgiveness. Every marriage will have mistakes, misunderstandings, and moments of hurt. If a couple cannot forgive each other, these moments will pile up like stones, making the relationship heavy. But when mercy is present, forgiveness comes more easily. It doesn't mean ignoring wrongs, it means addressing them with a heart willing to heal. Patience is a branch of mercy. It's easy to love someone when they are at their best. The test comes when they are struggling, irritable, or falling short. Patience says, I see your flaws, but I will still treat you with respect. This kind of patience deepens love over time because it builds trust. Trust that your partner will stand by you even in your weakest moments. True mercy in marriage is rooted in the awareness that your spouse is a gift from Allah. They are not perfect, but neither are you. When you see them as a trust given to you by the most merciful, you treat them with more care. You realize that the way you treat your spouse is part of your accountability to Allah, not just your personal preference. Another part of this hidden root is selflessness. In a strong marriage, both partners look for ways to give more than they take. This doesn't mean neglecting your own needs. It means prioritizing the well-being of the relationship over winning arguments or proving a point. Selflessness softens hearts, while selfishness hardens them. Respect is inseparable from mercy. You cannot claim to love someone while belittling them. You cannot build trust while mocking their efforts. Respect means valuing your spouse's opinions, honoring their feelings, and appreciating their efforts even in small things. This respect feeds the love that keeps a marriage strong. The hidden root of lasting love is also found in consistent small actions. Grand gestures are nice, but it's the daily acts, the smile, the how was your day, the cup of tea, the shared prayer that create an unshakable bond. These are the moments that weave love into the fabric of life. Faith plays a central role in this root. When both spouses are connected to Allah, their love is anchored in something greater than themselves. Disagreements become easier to resolve because they share the same values and goals. Their bond is not just emotional but spiritual, and that makes it stronger against the challenges of life. Gratitude is another hidden nutrient in the soil of lasting love. When you actively thank Allah for your spouse and thank your spouse for their efforts, love grows naturally. Ingratitude, on the other hand, can poison a marriage, making good deeds go unnoticed and small flaws seem enormous. Couples who understand the hidden root know that love is not just a feeling, it's a choice. Feelings can fade or fluctuate, but the choice to show mercy, to respect, to forgive, and to be patient is what sustains the marriage. This choice must be renewed every day. Just as plants need daily water to survive, a marriage without mercy becomes a transaction, a list of demands and obligations. It may function outwardly, but inwardly it will feel cold. Mercy transforms marriage from a contract into a covenant, a sacred commitment to care for each other's hearts for the sake of Allah. Lasting love also depends on how couples handle mistakes. In a merciful marriage, mistakes are opportunities to grow closer, not weapons to wound each other. Couples who hold grudges let resentment build. Couples who approach mistakes with compassion turn them into lessons. Part of the hidden root is the willingness to protect each other from unnecessary pain. This means speaking gently, avoiding words that cut deeply, and addressing issues privately. It means being a safe place for your spouse's emotions, a shelter in a world that can often be harsh. Mercy doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means having them with the intention to resolve, not to attack. In marriages where mercy is strong, disagreements lead to solutions, not scars. This keeps love intact even in the face of conflict. Time is another element of lasting love. Relationships need quality time to grow, just like plants need sunlight. Mercy makes you prioritize this time even when life is busy. Without it, couples drift apart, mistaking physical presence for real connection. Couples who nurture the hidden root understand that their love is a trust. They don't take it for granted. They invest in it through dua, through learning, and through constant effort. They see each other not as competitors but as teammates walking together towards Jannah. The beauty of mercy is that it benefits both the giver and the receiver. When you show mercy, your own heart softens, your own stress reduces, and your own connection to Allah grows. A marriage full of mercy is not only a source of joy in this life, it's a source of reward in the next. So, if you want your love to last, don't just focus on the surface, nurture the root. Feed it with mercy, patience, forgiveness, respect, and faith. Protect it from the weeds of pride, ingratitude, and neglect. And remember, the most beautiful marriages are not the ones without struggle, but the ones where the hidden root keeps love alive through every season. When faith is at the center of a marriage, love is not just a passing emotion, it becomes a form of worship. It is guided by values that are constant, not by feelings that change with circumstances. Faith reminds you that your spouse is not just your partner in this life, but potentially your companion in the next. That awareness changes everything about how you treat them. Faith teaches you that love is more than attraction or comfort. It is a trust given by Allah, a responsibility that must be honored. When you love for the sake of Allah, you see your spouse not only for who they are now, but for who they can become with your support and encouragement. Your love then becomes a means of helping them grow closer to Allah. One of the ways faith shapes love is by placing mercy at its core. The Quran describes marriage as a place of tranquility, love, and mercy. These are not just feelings, they are divine instructions. Faith pushes you to prioritize kindness even when you are frustrated, and to respond with patience even when you are tested. Faith also changes the way you handle conflict. Without it, disagreements can quickly turn into battles of ego, where the goal is to win, not to heal. But with faith, the aim shifts to pleasing Allah, resolving issues fairly, and protecting the dignity of both partners. The Prophet, peace be upon him, showed that even during disagreements, respect should never be lost. When your love is shaped by faith, you view forgiveness as a strength, not a weakness. You understand that holding grudges only harms the heart, while letting go earns you the mercy of Allah. In a marriage, this means you are quicker to reconcile and slower to accuse. You choose unity over pride. Faith keeps your love steady in times of hardship. Life will bring financial struggles, health challenges, and emotional lows. Without faith, these can drain the joy out of a relationship. But with faith, these moments become opportunities to support each other, make dua together, and remember that every trial is temporary. Another way faith shapes love is by teaching balance. Islam encourages spouses to fulfill each other's rights while maintaining their own spiritual obligations. This balance prevents resentment and ensures that both partners are giving and receiving with fairness. Love without balance can easily turn into dependence or neglect. Faith brings humility into love. You acknowledge that you are not perfect and that your spouse is not perfect. This keeps you from expecting the impossible. You learn to focus on your spouse's good qualities, as the Prophet, peace be upon him, advised, rather than fixating on their faults. Gratitude is amplified when love is rooted in faith. You thank Allah for the blessing of companionship, and you thank your spouse for their efforts. This double layer of gratitude strengthens the bond, because both partners feel valued and appreciated not just by each other, but by Allah. Faith shapes love by connecting it to accountability. You know that every word you speak, every action you take, and every way you treat your spouse will be recorded. This awareness makes you more careful with your tongue, more mindful of your actions, and more sincere in your intentions. When faith is present, love is expressed through service. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would help in his household, showing that small acts of care are a part of love. This example teaches that serving each other is not a burden, but an honor, and that it brings reward when done for Allah's sake. Faith also influences the goals you set as a couple. Your dreams are not just about building a comfortable home in this life, but about building a home in the hereafter. You make decisions with both worlds in mind, and this shared vision keeps you moving in the same direction. With faith, love is protected from external temptations. You are mindful of boundaries with others and conscious of guarding the trust your spouse has placed in you. This protection builds security, allowing your spouse to feel safe and confident in your loyalty. Faith nurtures patience in times of change. People grow and evolve over the years, and sometimes they face personal struggles that affect the relationship. When love is shaped by faith, you give space for growth without giving up on each other. You remain committed to helping your spouse through their journey. Love shaped by faith is also honest. It is not built on false promises or empty words, but on truthfulness and trust. You communicate openly, not to hurt, but to heal. You are willing to have difficult conversations because you know that sincerity is part of faith. Faith turns everyday moments into acts of worship. Eating together, laughing together, even holding hands when done with the intention of pleasing Allah, they carry reward. This transforms the ordinary into something sacred, making your love richer and more meaningful. When faith shapes love, you celebrate each other's spiritual successes. You encourage prayer, Quran reading, and acts of charity. You take joy in your spouse's closeness to Allah because you know their spiritual growth benefits both of you in this life and the next. Faith softens the heart towards acts of sacrifice. You are willing to compromise, to let go of your preferences, and to endure difficulties for the sake of your spouse's happiness. You do this not for worldly gain, but because you believe that every act of kindness will be rewarded. Love shaped by faith has resilience. It doesn't crumble under pressure because it is anchored to something unchanging. No matter what storms come, both spouses know they can turn to Allah, to His guidance, and to the example of the Prophet, peace be upon him, for strength. Faith transforms love from a fragile feeling into a steady force. It becomes a means of drawing closer to Allah, of refining your character, and of building a relationship that can withstand time, trials, and change. This is how faith shapes the way you love, by making it deeper, purer, and everlasting. In many marriages, both spouses want things to improve but feel stuck in the same patterns. Arguments repeat, frustrations linger, and the relationship feels heavier than it should. Often, the solution is not to change everything, but to change one key perspective. That single shift can transform how you see your spouse, how you respond to challenges, and how you nurture love. The shift is this: stop asking, "What am I getting?" and start asking, "What am I giving?" When both partners focus on giving rather than keeping score, the atmosphere changes completely. Love stops being a transaction and becomes a mutual act of mercy. This doesn't mean ignoring your needs, it means putting the health of the relationship above the need to win. When your mindset changes from taking to giving, small annoyances lose their power. You begin to see your spouse's struggles instead of only your own. You look for ways to ease their burdens, to bring joy into their day, to make their path lighter. In return, you often receive more than you ever expected, not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught through his actions that the best among us are those who are best to their families. This wasn't just about fulfilling rights, it was about going beyond them, offering kindness, patience, and service willingly. When you adopt this mindset, every moment with your spouse becomes an opportunity for reward. Another part of this shift is to see challenges as a team problem rather than a personal attack. When something goes wrong, instead of blaming each other, you stand side by side and ask, "How can we fix this together?" This simple change in language turns conflict into cooperation and prevents resentment from taking root. When you focus on giving, your words naturally become softer. You stop speaking only to prove your point and start speaking to build understanding. You listen more, interrupt less, and create space for your spouse to share without fear. This shift in communication can rebuild trust even in a struggling marriage. This change in mindset also helps you see the value in your spouse's efforts even when they fall short. Instead of focusing on what they didn't do, you appreciate what they tried to do. Gratitude grows, and with it, love deepens. Appreciation is a fuel that keeps relationships moving forward. One of the most powerful outcomes of this shift is that it breaks the cycle of negativity. When one spouse offers consistent kindness, the other often responds in kind, even if it takes time. This steady example can slowly soften hardened hearts. It's a gentle but powerful way of leading by example. The giving mindset also changes how you view sacrifices. Instead of seeing them as losses, you see them as investments both in your marriage and in your akhirah. Every act of patience, every time you let something go for the sake of peace, becomes a source of reward from Allah. This shift requires humility. It means admitting that you can't control your spouse's actions, but you can control your own. It means accepting that real change starts with you. Many couples wait for the other person to go first, but the truth is, someone has to take the first step. Why not you? It also means being intentional about the energy you bring into your home. You can choose to be a source of calm or a source of tension. You can choose to walk in with a smile or with a complaint. Over time, these daily choices shape the entire tone of your marriage. When you embrace this shift, even acts of worship take on a new dimension. Praying together, making dua for your spouse, reading Quran as a couple, these stop feeling like extra efforts and start feeling like natural expressions of love. Faith and affection begin to feed each other. The giving mindset doesn't mean allowing yourself to be mistreated. Islam teaches balance, fulfilling the rights of others without neglecting your own. This shift works best when it's mutual, but even if it's not, it still benefits you by strengthening your character and drawing you closer to Allah. This perspective also makes you more aware of the small moments that matter. A gentle touch on the shoulder, a word of encouragement, a genuine thank you. These may seem minor, but they build the emotional safety that allows love to grow and last. When both spouses adopt this mindset, the marriage becomes a place of emotional generosity. Neither partner is afraid of being taken advantage of because both are actively giving. This creates a cycle of blessing where each spouse feels valued, respected, and cherished. The giving mindset also transforms how you view forgiveness. Letting go of small mistakes becomes easier when you're focused on the bigger picture. You realize that holding grudges only blocks the flow of love, while forgiveness keeps it moving freely. This shift changes how you celebrate each other's successes. Instead of feeling competitive or overlooked, you feel genuine joy for your spouse's achievements. Their happiness becomes your happiness, and their growth becomes your shared victory. The giving perspective also turns trials into opportunities for closeness. When your spouse is struggling, you step in without hesitation, not because you have to, but because you want to. These moments of support leave deep marks of gratitude that last for years. Even in times when your efforts are not fully appreciated, this mindset keeps you grounded. You remember that your reward is with Allah and that nothing done for His sake is ever wasted. This keeps you from becoming bitter and allows you to keep giving without resentment. This one shift from asking what am I getting to what am I giving can change the entire course of a marriage. It replaces cycles of blame with cycles of kindness, turns resentment into gratitude, and transforms love into a lasting act of worship. It's a small change in perspective, but it truly changes everything. One of the most beautiful things about Islam is that it doesn't limit worship to the masjid or prayer mat. Every sincere action, no matter how ordinary, can become an act of worship if done with the right intention. This means that the moments you share with your spouse, no matter how simple, can be written in your record of good deeds. Eating together, for example, is not just a social activity. When you begin with Bismillah, eat with gratitude, and share with love, it becomes an act that pleases Allah. Even feeding your spouse with your own hand is a sunnah. And the Prophet, peace be upon him, reminded us that it is rewardable in the sight of Allah. A smile in the morning, a word of encouragement, or a helping hand with chores. All these can be acts of worship if you intend them for the sake of Allah. They strengthen the marriage and bring joy to your spouse while also earning you reward in the hereafter. This is the beauty of connecting faith to daily life. Turning moments into worship starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of thinking, I'm just doing this because I have to, you think I'm doing this because Allah loves those who are good to their families. This transforms an ordinary task into a spiritual opportunity. Helping your spouse with responsibilities is another example. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would assist in his household. When you follow this example, you're not just making life easier for your spouse, you're imitating a prophetic character and turning service into worship. Even conversations can be acts of worship when they are filled with kindness and free from hurtful words. Listening with patience, offering advice with gentleness, and comforting your spouse in times of difficulty are all ways to earn Allah's pleasure without leaving your home. Acts of intimacy between spouses, when done with mutual respect and within the bounds of marriage, are also considered worship. The companions were surprised when the Prophet, peace be upon him, explained that even in fulfilling physical needs, a believer can earn reward if done lawfully and with gratitude. Making dua for your spouse is a simple yet powerful way to turn moments into worship. A silent prayer while they are asleep, asking Allah to protect them, guide them and bless them, is unseen by them but fully recorded by the angels. It strengthens both your love and your connection to Allah. Financial support within marriage can also be a form of worship. When a husband provides for his wife and children with the intention of fulfilling his responsibility before Allah, every penny spent becomes a source of reward. Similarly, when a wife manages the home and resources with care, it too is an act of devotion. Patience during disagreements is another overlooked form of worship. Choosing to control your anger, speaking respectfully even when upset, and walking away from harmful words are all acts of obedience to Allah. These moments may be difficult, but they are heavy on the scale of good deeds. Even rest can be worship when it's taken with the intention of recharging to better fulfill your duties towards Allah and your family. Sleeping after making wudu, remembering Allah before closing your eyes, And waking with gratitude turns something as routine as sleep into an act of devotion. Walking together, sharing a cup of tea, or laughing over a light-hearted moment, these can all be worship when they are filled with gratitude and love. Islam teaches that joy within marriage is not frivolous. It's a mercy from Allah that should be appreciated and preserved. Serving each other during illness is a profound example of worship in daily life, whether it's bringing medicine, preparing a meal, or simply sitting beside your spouse to keep them company. These acts reflect compassion and fulfill the prophetic teaching of caring for the sick. Sharing Islamic knowledge, reminding each other of prayer times, or reading Quran together are all ways to merge daily life with spiritual growth. These shared acts not only strengthen your relationship but also keep both hearts connected to Allah. Even your tone of voice can be worship when it is gentle, respectful, and mindful of the other's feelings. Speaking in a way that uplifts rather than tears down is a reflection of the prophetic approach and a means of earning reward every day. Protecting each other from sin is another way faith turns moments into worship. Encouraging modesty, guarding each other's dignity, and avoiding situations that may lead to harm are all acts that strengthen the marriage and please Allah. Showing gratitude to your spouse is worship. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught that the one who is not grateful to people is not truly grateful to Allah. Thanking your spouse for their efforts, no matter how small, creates a cycle of appreciation that beautifies the relationship. Sharing meals with neighbors or helping extended family together as a couple can also be worship. When you serve others hand in hand, your marriage becomes a means of spreading goodness beyond your own home. Even silence can be worship when it is used to avoid unnecessary conflict. Holding back from a hurtful response, choosing patience over argument, and seeking Allah's help before speaking are all ways to turn restraint into reward. The essence of turning daily moments into worship lies in intention. When your actions are done for the sake of Allah, even the smallest gestures become valuable in His sight. In this way, your marriage becomes more than just companionship, it becomes a path to Jannah, one moment at a time. Every strong marriage is built on something deeper than love alone. Love can begin quickly, but it can also fade when life gets hard. Mercy, however, holds steady through every season. When mercy becomes the foundation of a marriage, it shapes how you speak, how you forgive, and how you choose to care for each other even when it's difficult. Mercy is not simply being nice, it is a conscious choice to act with compassion, patience, and understanding, even when your emotions are telling you otherwise. It means you protect your spouse's dignity, support them in their struggles, and avoid hurting them even if you feel wronged in the moment. Allah describes the bond between husband and wife as being filled with love and mercy. Love draws you together, mercy keeps you together. Without mercy, small disagreements can turn into deep wounds. With mercy, even big challenges can be faced with grace and unity. When mercy is the foundation, forgiveness becomes easier. You don't keep a record of every mistake or hold grudges as weapons. You address issues with honesty, but you do so with the intention of healing, not humiliating. Mercy allows you to see your spouse as a human being who will make mistakes just as you do. Mercy also changes the way you handle stress in marriage. Instead of taking out your frustrations on your spouse, you become more mindful of their feelings. You look for ways to lighten their burdens rather than adding to them. This shared gentleness creates a safe space for both hearts to rest. When mercy is absent, pride often takes over. Every disagreement becomes a competition. Every weakness becomes an opportunity to criticize. But when mercy is present, pride takes a back seat and the focus shifts to preserving the bond. This shift protects the marriage from unnecessary harm. Mercy is most powerful in moments when it's hardest to give. It's easy to be kind when you're happy. It's a greater act of faith to be kind when you're upset. Choosing mercy in those moments shows maturity, discipline, and a desire to please Allah more than to satisfy your ego. The Prophet, peace be upon him, demonstrated mercy not only in words but in daily actions, helping in the household, speaking gently, and showing patience even when others were impatient with him. Following this example turns a marriage into a place where both partners feel respected and valued. Mercy teaches you to be generous with your time, attention, and affection. You don't withhold these things to teach a lesson or punish your spouse. Instead, you offer them freely because you know that mercy grows when it is given, not when it is stored away. When mercy is the foundation, criticism turns into constructive advice. Instead of pointing out faults harshly, you encourage growth with compassion. This not only protects your spouse's feelings, but also inspires them to improve without resentment. Mercy also makes you more aware of your spouse's needs, even when they are unspoken. You start noticing the small signs of fatigue, sadness, or worry. You offer help before it is asked for. This proactive care deepens trust and strengthens the emotional bond. In a merciful marriage, both partners feel safe to be themselves. They don't have to hide their weaknesses or pretend to be perfect. They know they will be met with understanding, not judgment. This safety is priceless, and it allows love to grow in its most genuine form. Mercy removes the need for constant defense. When you know your spouse will approach mistakes with understanding, you become more open and honest. This honesty builds intimacy, not just emotionally but spiritually, because it mirrors the openness we are meant to have with Allah. A home built on mercy is a home where peace naturally lives. Arguments may happen, but they are resolved without leaving permanent scars. Disappointments may come, but they are met with patience. Mercy allows the home to remain a sanctuary, not a battlefield. Mercy is also contagious. When one spouse shows it consistently, the other often begins to mirror it. This creates a cycle of kindness that grows stronger over time, making the marriage more resilient against outside pressures. Even in difficult seasons, mercy helps couples remember why they chose each other. It brings them back to the shared dreams, values, and faith that brought them together in the first place. This perspective keeps temporary struggles from overshadowing the bigger picture. Mercy protects marriages from becoming purely transactional. It ensures that acts of care are not given only in exchange for something else. Instead, they are given freely, knowing that Allah sees and rewards every effort, even if it goes unnoticed by the other. When mercy is at the core, small gestures carry great meaning. A gentle word during stress, a hand offered in forgiveness, or a smile after disagreement. These are the moments that repair and strengthen the bond without grand speeches or dramatic efforts. A marriage built on mercy becomes a source of barakah. It is blessed in ways that cannot always be measured in the peace of the home, in the joy of shared moments, and in the way challenges bring the couple closer rather than driving them apart. Mercy is not just a quality of a healthy marriage, it is the heart of it. When mercy becomes the foundation, love does not have to fight to survive. It thrives, grows, and deepens, guiding both hearts toward Jannah together, one act of compassion at a time. Not all marriages break because of loud arguments or dramatic betrayals. Many slowly weaken due to quiet neglect, the kind that creeps in without being noticed. Silent damage is dangerous because it grows in the background, quietly eroding trust, warmth, and connection until the bond feels cold. Recognizing it early is the first step to protecting your marriage. One of the most common forms of silent damage is emotional distance. Couples may share the same space but live separate emotional lives. Conversations shrink to logistics bills, chores, schedules, while the deeper talks about feelings, dreams, and faith fade away. Over time, this creates a sense of loneliness, even within the relationship. Another silent threat is taking each other for granted. In the early days, couples often notice and appreciate every effort, but as time passes, those small acts are expected rather than acknowledged. The absence of gratitude can make a spouse feel invisible, slowly draining the joy out of their contributions. Unresolved misunderstandings are another cause of silent damage. Instead of addressing hurt feelings, couples brush them aside. The problem seems gone, but it remains beneath the surface, creating an emotional barrier. Over time, these unspoken grievances pile up and make closeness harder to maintain. Neglecting faith together is also a subtle danger. When couples stop praying together, stop reminding each other of Allah, or let go of shared spiritual habits, the marriage loses one of its strongest bonds. Faith is not just personal, it is the heart of the relationship's purpose. Distractions, especially from technology, have become a major silent threat. A phone in your hand can slowly replace the hand of your spouse. When screens receive more attention than the person beside you, it sends a quiet message: "You are not my priority." Repeated often, that message leaves a lasting scar. A lack of physical affection can also cause harm without anyone shouting or fighting. Touch, hugs, and small signs of warmth are not luxuries, they are part of the emotional language of marriage. When they disappear, the relationship can begin to feel more like a business arrangement than a loving partnership. Silent damage often comes from poor listening. Many couples hear each other's words but don't truly listen. Without real attention, misunderstandings grow, and a spouse may feel that their thoughts and feelings don't matter. Over time, this discourages open communication. One overlooked danger is unspoken resentment. Sometimes, one spouse silently feels burdened or unsupported, but says nothing to avoid conflict. While silence may seem peaceful at first, it builds a wall that eventually blocks connection. Healthy marriages need space for honest, respectful conversations. A lack of shared joy is another sign of quiet harm. Laughter, playful moments, and shared hobbies keep a relationship alive. When life becomes only about responsibilities, the emotional bond can slowly weaken, even if both partners are doing their part. Comparisons can cause silent cracks. When one spouse is constantly compared to someone else, a friend's spouse, a celebrity, or even an idealized past version of themselves, it erodes confidence and security. Love thrives on acceptance, not constant measurement. Silent damage can also happen when couples avoid difficult conversations. Avoidance may keep the peace temporarily, but it often allows problems to grow unchecked. Addressing concerns with wisdom and kindness is part of protecting the marriage from long-term harm. Withholding appreciation or kindness as a way to teach a lesson is another quiet danger. It may seem harmless in the moment, but it builds a climate of mistrust. Mercy means giving love even when you are upset, because the bond is more important than the argument. Silent damage often builds during seasons of busyness. Work, children, and other commitments can consume all your energy. Without intentional time for each other, a couple can slowly drift apart, not because they stopped loving each other, but because they stopped nurturing that love. Overlooking your spouse's emotional needs can cause harm even when material needs are met. A clean house, paid bills, and cooked meals do not replace the need for emotional connection, compassion, and validation. Ignoring this side of the relationship leaves a deep gap. Harboring unrealistic expectations can quietly harm a marriage. Expecting your spouse to meet every emotional, social, and spiritual need is a heavy burden that no human can carry. Recognizing that only Allah can fulfill every need prevents disappointment from turning into quiet resentment. Another form of silent harm is lack of teamwork. When spouses stop seeing themselves as a team and start functioning as two individuals under one roof, cooperation fades. Small divisions in responsibility or decision-making can slowly erode the sense of unity. Even small lies or half-truths can contribute to silent damage. They might seem insignificant, but they plant seeds of doubt. Trust is delicate, and each dishonest moment, no matter how small, makes it harder to fully rely on one another. Protecting your marriage from silent damage means being intentional every day, noticing your spouse's needs, showing appreciation, keeping communication open, and making time for shared faith and joy. It's about stopping problems while they are still small. Marriages are not only broken by big events, they are often worn down by small neglects. But the same is true for building them. It's the small, consistent acts of love, mercy, and care that protect a marriage for a lifetime. Pay attention to the quiet moments, They are shaping your relationship more than you realize. Marriage in Islam is more than companionship for this world. It's a partnership for eternity. When a husband and wife see each other as fellow travelers on the road to Jannah, their relationship takes on a deeper meaning. Every smile, every sacrifice, and every act of kindness becomes part of a shared journey toward the pleasure of Allah. Walking together towards Jannah means that your love is guided by faith. You don't just focus on making each other happy in this life, you help each other prepare for the next. You remind one another of prayer, encourage acts of charity, and support each other through trials with patience and hope. This journey is not always smooth. There will be times of hardship, disagreements, and personal struggles. But when both spouses are committed to the same destination, Jannah, these challenges become opportunities to grow stronger together rather than reasons to drift apart. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught that the best of you are those who are best to their families. Treating your spouse with mercy, respect, and generosity is not just a good quality, it's an act of worship. Every time you choose kindness over anger, you take another step toward paradise together. Walking together towards Jannah requires patience. There will be days when your spouse is tired, stressed, or feeling low. In those moments, offering understanding instead of criticism keeps your hearts connected. Patience is not just enduring, it's supporting each other with gentleness. It also means holding each other accountable in love. If one of you slips in faith, the other gently reminds them. If one is feeling weak, the other helps them stand. These reminders are not about control, they are about care. Because you want to see each other succeed in the eyes of Allah. Spouses on this journey don't compete against each other, they compete together for good deeds. They look for opportunities to serve others as a team, whether it's hosting guests, helping neighbors, or supporting charitable causes. Each shared good deed is an investment in their eternal home. This path also requires forgiveness. No marriage is free from mistakes, but holding grudges will only weigh you down. When you forgive your spouse for the sake of Allah, you not only lighten your heart, but also strengthen your bond for the journey ahead. Faithful couples understand that the home they build now is a reflection of the home they hope to have in Jannah. They strive to make their household a place of peace, free from constant conflict and filled with remembrance of Allah. A peaceful home on earth is training for a peaceful home in the hereafter. Walking towards Jannah together also means guarding each other from harm. You protect your spouse's honor, their dignity, and their faith. You avoid words or actions that could hurt them, and you defend them in their absence. Loyalty is part of love, and love is part of faith. This journey is fueled by gratitude. When you thank Allah for your spouse and thank your spouse for their efforts, you keep your hearts open and appreciative. Gratitude prevents resentment and strengthens the bond, making the road to Jannah lighter. It's also about making time for each other, even in the busyness of life. Quality time strengthens the emotional connection, and a strong connection makes it easier to face trials together. Time spent in love and faith is never wasted. It's part of your preparation for the hereafter. Couples walking this path also seek knowledge together. They attend Islamic classes, listen to beneficial reminders, and share what they learn. Growing in knowledge as a pair deepens both faith and friendship, making the journey richer and more meaningful. They also learn to celebrate each other's spiritual progress. If one completes a Quran recitation, the other rejoices. If one develops a new habit of worship, the other encourages it. These celebrations keep the focus on what truly matters, the pleasure of Allah. On this journey, humility is essential. Both partners must be willing to admit when they're wrong and to apologize sincerely. Pride can slow the journey, but humility allows you to move forward hand in hand, with hearts free from unnecessary weight. Couples aiming for Jannah together also learn to see trials as part of Allah's plan. Instead of asking, why us? They ask, how can we pass this test together? This mindset keeps them united even in hardship, knowing that every test can bring them closer to their goal. Generosity plays a big role too. They give not just from their wealth, but from their time, attention, and energy. Generosity creates warmth, and warmth makes the journey together more beautiful and rewarding. They also remember that their marriage is a trust from Allah. It's not to be taken lightly or handled carelessly. Treating each other well is part of honoring that trust, and dishonoring it could cost more than just worldly happiness. It could affect their standing with Allah. The beauty of walking towards Jannah together is that every step you take for each other's sake, every sacrifice you make, and every prayer you share is recorded. Even the smallest acts, like reminding your spouse to say Bismillah, are noted by the angels as part of your journey. Walking together towards Jannah is the most noble goal a couple can have. It means loving each other in a way that outlives this world, supporting each other through every trial, and meeting Allah together with a record full of shared good deeds. That is a love worth building, protecting, and cherishing for a lifetime. Marriage is not just about living under the same roof. It's about building a home where hearts feel safe, where kindness is the language, and where Allah is at the center of every decision. The advice we spoke about today is not meant to be heard and forgotten. It's meant to be practiced every single day, in the small moments as well as the big ones. Love is nourished by mercy, trust, and the intention to please Allah. If you carry this with you, your marriage will not only survive life's challenges, it will thrive, and it will lead you both towards Jannah hand in hand. So take this reminder seriously, act upon it, and let your relationship become a living example of the beauty Islam teaches.